Over 1 inch of ice is coating trees right now across the south. Power lines are snapping, and this is just storm number 1. What is heading toward your neighborhood this weekend could be even worse. Are you prepared? Right now, as I speak to you, more than 400,000 homes sit in darkness across 7 states. Tennessee just reported 1.2 inches of ice accumulation in Memphis. That is enough weight to snap a telephone pole in half. But here is what nobody is telling you. The second storm system is already forming, and the computer models show something that sent chills down my spine when I saw it this morning. Before we dive into storm number 2, let me give you the critical information you need right now. If you are watching from Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, or anywhere along Interstate 85, the next 6 hours are crucial. At exactly 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time today, a band of freezing rain will move through. This is not regular rain. This is the kind that turns your driveway into a skating rink in 15 minutes. Here is your reward for watching in these first 30 seconds. I'm going to tell you the exact time storm number 2 arrives in your city. Not just the day, the hour. And I'm going to show you something that 7 other weather channels missed completely. Stay with me. Let me paint you a picture of what is happening right now across America. Boston is getting hammered with 2 inches of snow per hour. That is accumulation so fast that plows cannot keep up. Pennsylvania has 15 inches on the ground in some areas, and it is still coming down. New York City started as snow, switched to sleet, and now people are reporting ice pellets the size of marbles bouncing off their windows. But here is the twist that changes everything. The same computer model that predicted this current storm a full week ago, when every other model was wrong, just updated its forecast for next weekend. And what it is showing made meteorologists across the country pick up their phones and start calling each other. Down in Mississippi, they are dealing with ice accumulation that has not been seen in 30 years. Over 1 inch of ice coating everything. Trees that stood for 100 years are lying across roads right now. Louisiana is reporting similar conditions. This ice is so heavy that power companies are saying it could take 7 to 10 days to restore electricity to some areas. In January, with temperatures dropping to the single digits tonight, think about that for a second. No power, no heat. Temperatures near 0 degrees Fahrenheit. This is not just inconvenient. This is dangerous. And the coldest air has not even arrived yet. Let me tell you about the wedge. This is a weather pattern that North Carolina and Virginia know all too well. Cold air gets trapped against the mountains. It sits there like a stubborn guest who will not leave. While warmer air tries to move in above it, you get this sandwich of cold at the surface and warm air above. That is the perfect recipe for ice. Not snow, ice. Right now, that wedge is locked in place from Atlanta all the way up to Washington, D.C. The temperature at ground level in Greensboro, North Carolina is 31 degrees, just 1 degree below freezing. But 5,000 feet up in the air, it is 38 degrees. That warm air is melting the snow as it falls. Then it refreezes the moment it touches anything at the surface. Here is what is happening in your city right now. Atlanta, you have ice storm warnings until 8 p.m. tonight. The worst is happening right now between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Nashville, you are seeing the heaviest ice accumulation in your southern suburbs. Over 1/2 inch already. Memphis, you are getting the worst of it. 1.2 inches confirmed. That is catastrophic. Moving up the map, Louisville, Kentucky, you have 6 inches of snow with sleet mixing in. Cincinnati, 8 inches and still falling. Columbus, Ohio, 9 inches on the ground. Indianapolis got 10 inches before it tapered off around noon. You are in the clear now, but those roads are going to be treacherous tonight when everything freezes solid. Let me jump up to the northeast because this is where the snow is absolutely cranking. Pittsburgh, you have 12 inches. Philadelphia, you started with snow, got sleet, now you are back to snow. Current total is 7 inches, but here is your situation. That sleet created a layer of ice in the middle of your snowpack. When people try to shovel this, they are going to hit that ice layer and it is going to be like chipping concrete. New York City, you have 8 inches in Central Park. But the boroughs are all different. Queens has 9 inches. Brooklyn has 7. The Bronx has 10. Why? Elevation changes and the timing of when you switch from snow to sleet and back. Long Island, you went full sleet and your totals are disappointing. 3 to 4 inches of sleet and ice. Not the foot of snow you were hoping for. Hartford, Connecticut, 11 inches. Providence, Rhode Island, 13 inches and climbing. But Boston, you are the winner today. 17 inches already with rates of 2 inches per hour still continuing. Worcester, you have 19 inches. Some towns west of Boston are approaching 2 feet. This is going to be a top 10 snowstorm for you. Buffalo, you picked up 6 inches. Rochester, 7 inches. Syracuse, 8 inches. Not blockbuster totals for you, but enough to make travel hazardous. Albany, you have 14 inches with more coming. Now let me get to the question you are really wondering about. What about next weekend? Here is where it gets interesting. At exactly 2 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, January 31st, a new storm system will be forming in the Gulf of Mexico. By 8 a.m., it will be off the coast of Louisiana. By 2 p.m., it will be near Mobile, Alabama. And here is the critical moment. By midnight Saturday night, this storm will be positioned off the coast of South Carolina. That position is everything. Let me explain why. When a storm forms in the Gulf and rides up the coast, we call that a miller, a storm. That is what we want if you like snow on the East Coast. The storm stays far enough offshore that cold air wraps around it. Everyone gets snow. Clean, simple, beautiful. But when a storm forms in the south, rides up through the mountains, falls apart, then reforms off the coast, that is a Miller B. That is what gave you the mess you are dealing with today. Warm air gets injected. You get rain. You get sleet. You get ice. Nobody is happy. The European model is showing a Miller A for next weekend. Let me tell you what that means for your city. Miami, you are not in this one. Orlando, you are clear. Jacksonville, you might see some rain Saturday morning. Nothing serious. Savannah, Georgia, rain Saturday afternoon. Charleston, South Carolina. This is where it gets interesting for you. Rain changes to snow Saturday night around 10 p.m. By Sunday morning, you could have 3 inches. Columbia, South Carolina, snow starts around 8 p.m. Saturday. Heavy at times overnight. Total accumulation 4 to 6 inches by Sunday afternoon. Charlotte, North Carolina, snow begins at 6 p.m. Saturday. This is going to be all snow for you. No mixing. Temperatures will be in the mid-20s. Snowfall rates could hit 1 inch per hour Saturday night. Total, 7 to 10 inches. Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, snow starts at 7 p.m. Saturday. Heavy overnight. You are looking at 8 to 12 inches. This could be your biggest snow in 5 years. Greensboro, Winston-Salem, you get it earlier. Starting at 5 p.m. Saturday. Heavier accumulations possible. 10 to 14 inches. Richmond, Virginia, snow arrives at 8 p.m. Saturday. Moderate to heavy overnight. 6 to 9 inches expected. Washington, D.C., you start seeing flurries around 9 p.m. Saturday. Real accumulation begins after midnight. By Sunday morning rush hour, you could have 5 to 8 inches. This is the snow you missed out on with this current storm. Baltimore. Similar timing to D.C. Snow after midnight. 7 to 10 inches possible. This is a much better setup for you than what you are dealing with today. Philadelphia. Snow begins around 1 a.m. Sunday morning. Heavy at times Sunday morning. 8 to 12 inches. New York City. Snow starts around 3 a.m. Sunday. Heavy during the morning hours. This is a Sunday storm for you. 9 to 14 inches possible. Boston. You are still cleaning up from today's storm, and here comes another one. Snow begins Sunday morning around 6 a.m. This one will last into Sunday night. Additional accumulation of 12 to 18 inches on top of what you already have. We could be talking about record snow totals for the month of January. Hartford, 10 to 15 inches Sunday. Providence, 12 to 16 inches. Portland, Maine, 14 to 20 inches. This storm is going to be a beast for New England. Let me give you the specifics on timing, because this is critical for your planning. If you need to travel, you need to know these exact windows. Charlotte, heaviest snow between 10 p.m. Saturday and 4 a.m. Sunday. Raleigh, heaviest snow between midnight and 8 a.m. Sunday. Richmond, heaviest snow between 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. Sunday. Washington, D.C., heaviest snow between 4 a.m. and noon Sunday. Philadelphia, heaviest snow between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. Sunday. New York City, heaviest snow between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Sunday. Boston, heaviest snow between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Sunday. Here is why I am confident in these numbers. The same AI weather model that nailed this current storm when every other model was wrong is showing this exact scenario. It locked in on this pattern 7 days ago. While other models were flip-flopping, this model stayed consistent. But let me show you the other side of the coin because honesty matters. The GFS model, that is the American model, is showing something different. It has a weaker storm that stays farther south. In that scenario, the Carolina coast gets rain, the I-95 corridor gets a mix, and only New England gets significant snow. So, which model is right? Based on the current atmospheric setup, I am leaning 70% toward the European model scenario I just described. 30% chance the American model is correct and this storm stays weaker and farther south. Why do I favor the European? 3 reasons. First, the pattern aligns. We have blocking in Canada. That forces storms to take a coastal route. Second, the ocean temperatures support rapid intensification once the storm gets offshore. Third, every ensemble member of the European model family is showing a significant storm. That is 51 computer simulations all agreeing. That does not happen often. Let me talk about what is setting up this pattern, because understanding this will help you prepare for the rest of winter. And yes, there is more coming after next weekend. Way up in the stratosphere, about 20 miles above your head, something remarkable is happening. The polar vortex is splitting. Imagine a giant spinning top wobbling and breaking into 2 pieces. That is what is occurring right now. When this happens, it sends a ripple effect down through the atmosphere. It creates blocking patterns. It buckles the jet stream, and it allows Arctic air to plunge south. The teleconnections are all lining up. The North Atlantic oscillation is negative. That means blocking near Greenland. Storms get forced south. The Pacific North American pattern is positive. That means a ridge of high pressure on the west coast. Cold air funnels down from Canada into the eastern United States. The Arctic oscillation is going strongly negative. That is the biggest signal for sustained cold. These are not just random letters and numbers. These are the patterns that meteorologists use to predict the overall weather regime weeks in advance. And right now, they are all pointing in the same direction. Cold, stormy, active. Let me show you what this means through the end of February. The extended European model is showing temperature departures. Blue means colder than normal. Red means warmer than normal. Watch what happens as I walk you through this week by week. Last week of January, cold everywhere east of the Rockies. First week of February, still cold. The warmest we get is just barely near normal in a few spots. Second week of February, even colder. Third week of February, the cold moderates slightly, but we never get above normal. Fourth week of February, cold returns with a vengeance. I am not cherry-picking here. I am showing you a 45-day stretch where the eastern United States does not see a sustained warm-up. That is unusual. That is a pattern. That is what happens when the polar vortex splits. Now let me talk about snow potential because I know that is what many of you care about. The same European extended model has a snowfall accumulation map. This shows total snowfall from now through March 12th. Parts of West Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains could see 4 feet of total snowfall during that period. The I-95 corridor from D.C. to Boston, 2 to 3 feet total. Even parts of North Carolina and Tennessee, 1 to 2 feet total. Is this a forecast? No. This is showing you the potential of the pattern. Will every storm hit? No. Will some storms miss? Absolutely. Weather is chaotic, but the pattern supports multiple opportunities. And you only need 1 or 2 big storms to verify to make this a winner you remember. Let me give you city-by-city snowfall potential for the rest of winter. These are not guarantees. These are probabilities based on the pattern. Atlanta, you have a 30% chance of seeing at least 4 more inches of snow this winter. That is higher than normal. Charlotte, 60% chance of 8 or more additional inches. Raleigh, 70% chance of 12 or more additional inches. Richmond, 75% chance of 15 or more additional inches. Washington, D.C., 80% chance of 20 or more additional inches. Philadelphia, 85% chance of 25 or more additional inches. New York City, 85% chance of 30 or more additional inches. Boston, 90% chance of 40 or more additional inches. Those are big numbers. And they are supported by the pattern we are seeing. But let me bring this back to what matters most: your safety, your preparation, your planning. For those of you dealing with the current storm, here is what you need to know about the next 24 hours. Temperatures tonight will drop into the single digits across much of the South and the teens across the Mid-Atlantic. If you lost power, this is life-threatening. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly folks living alone. Carbon monoxide poisoning from improper heating sources kills people every winter. If you are using a generator, it goes outside, 20 feet from your house, never in the garage, never in the basement. For those of you with ice on your trees, do not touch them. I repeat, do not touch ice-covered branches. The weight is incredible. I have seen branches that look fine suddenly crack and fall. Stay clear. Let nature take its course. As temperatures rise tomorrow and Thursday, that ice will melt. The danger will pass. For those of you preparing for next weekend's storm, you have 5 days. 5 days to get ready. Here is your checklist. Groceries. Get them by Friday. Prescription medications. Fill them now. Gasoline. Fill your tank. If you have a generator, test it today. If you have a snowblower, check the oil and gas today. If you heat with oil, check your tank level. If you use firewood, bring extra inside now before the storm. I want you to think about this differently than you normally would. This is not just another winter storm. This is part of a pattern that is going to persist. We are in the opening act of what could be a memorable finish to winter. The time to prepare is now, not when the next storm is 12 hours away. Let me tell you about the storms after next weekend, because they are already showing up on the long-range models. Around February 7th, another system. Around February 14th, Valentine's Day, another potential storm. Around February 21st, yet another system. These are all just signals right now. Low confidence in the details, but high confidence that the pattern supports storm development. Here is something fascinating that most people do not know. The Madden-Julian Oscillation is a pattern of tropical rainfall that moves around the globe. It influences weather worldwide. Right now, it is entering phases 8, 1, and 2. Those are the cold phases for the eastern United States. When the MJO is in those phases during winter, we see increased storm activity along the East Coast. It is in the perfect position right now, and it is forecast to stay there through mid-February. Even the Weather Prediction Center, that is the official government forecasting agency, is already highlighting potential storm threats for the end of this month and early February. They do not do that lightly. They do not put probabilities on their maps 2 weeks out unless the signal is strong. Let me address something I have seen in the comments. Some of you are disappointed with this current storm. You were promised snow and got sleet. You were told 8 inches and got 4. I understand that frustration. Weather forecasting is not perfect. The line between snow and sleet can be 30 miles. You can be on the wrong side of that line. It happens. But here is what I want you to understand. Next weekend's storm has a better setup. The cold air will be locked in more solidly. The storm will likely stay farther offshore. That means less mixing. More pure snow, better ratios, fluffy air accumulation. This is the one that could deliver. I need to talk about something serious for a moment. I have been doing this for a long time. I have seen storms overpromised and underdelivered. I have seen people panic over nothing. I have also seen people underprepare for real threats. My goal is to give you information, not fear. Information empowers you to make decisions. Should you cancel your Sunday plans if you live in New York City? If this storm tracks where I think it will, yes, absolutely. Sunday is going to be a mess. Should you panic? No. Should you prepare? Yes. There is a difference. For my viewers in the South dealing with ice right now, I need you to hear this. You did nothing wrong. This is not your fault. These ice storms are rare, but they happen. You did not grow up with snow plows and salt trucks on every corner like folks in Buffalo. You are dealing with this the best you can. Give yourself grace. Help your neighbors. This will pass. For my viewers in the Northeast, you are veterans at this. You know the drill. But even veterans can get complacent. Do not shovel alone if you are over 60. Heart attacks during snow shoveling are real and they are deadly. Take breaks. Stay hydrated. Lift with your legs. Let me give you an update on power outages because this is changing by the hour. Kentucky now has over 100,000 customers without power. Tennessee is approaching 200,000. North Carolina has passed 150,000. South Carolina is over 80,000. Virginia is climbing toward 100,000. These numbers will get worse before they get better as trees continue to fall under the weight of ice. Power companies are bringing in crews from other states. Line workers from Florida are heading to Tennessee. Crews from Texas are going to Mississippi. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation. But restoration takes time. Those 7 to 10-day estimates I mentioned earlier are real. Some rural areas might not see power until next weekend. That is why preparation matters so much. Here is what is going to happen over the next 72 hours with this current storm. Tonight, everything freezes hard. Tomorrow, Wednesday, temperatures moderate into the 30s and low 40s across the south. That ice starts to melt, dripping from trees, falling from power lines. Still dangerous, but improving. Thursday, temperatures climb into the 40s and 50s. Most of the ice will be gone. Friday, we get a break. Temperatures near normal. Everyone takes a breath. Then, Saturday night, storm number 2 arrives. Let me show you the exact forecast maps for next weekend. This is the European model valid for Saturday night at midnight. You can see the low pressure forming off the Carolina coast. The precipitation shield is spreading northward. Charleston is getting snow. Charlotte is getting heavy snow. Raleigh is getting pounded. Richmond is seeing moderate snow. D.C. is just starting. Jump ahead 6 hours to Sunday morning at 6 a.m. The storm has intensified. It is now off the coast of Delaware. Heavy snow band from North Carolina to New York. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. This is when the big accumulations happen. Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., the storm is near Boston. The heavy snow band is focused on New England now. New York is winding down. Philadelphia is ending. But Boston, Hartford, Providence, Portland are getting hammered. Sunday night at 8 p.m., the storm is pulling away, but snow is still falling in Maine. Accumulations are impressive from Virginia to Maine. Let me give you snowfall forecast maps. These are my predictions based on the European model solution. Remember, this could change. But if this track verifies, here is what I expect. North Carolina Piedmont, 7 to 12 inches. Raleigh Triangle, 8 to 14 inches. Richmond Metro, 6 to 10 inches. D.C. Metro, 5 to 9 inches. Baltimore, 7 to 11 inches. Philadelphia, 8 to 13 inches. New York City, 9 to 15 inches. Hartford, 10 to 16 inches. Boston, 12 to 20 inches. Portland, Maine, 14 to 22 inches. Those are big numbers. Those are disruptive numbers. Those are numbers that shut things down. Now, let me talk about what happens if the American model is right and the European is wrong. If the storm stays farther south and weaker, here is what we get instead. North Carolina coast gets rain mixing with snow, 2 to 4 inches. Raleigh gets 3 to 6 inches. Richmond gets 2 to 4 inches. D.C. gets 1 to 3 inches. Philly gets 3 to 5 inches. New York gets 5 to 8 inches. Boston gets 8 to 12 inches. Still a snowstorm. Just not as impressive. Still disruptive. Just not historic. Which scenario will verify? We will know more by Thursday. The models are going to start converging. They will either lock in on the big solution or trend toward the weaker one. I will do a full update on Thursday breaking down the latest data. But here is what I can tell you with high confidence right now. Next weekend will bring snow to the East Coast. The question is not if. The question is how much. And the pattern supports the bigger solution. Let me talk about the rest of February because planning does not stop with one storm. The first week of February looks cold. No major storms immediately after this weekend's system. But that cold is important. It sets the stage for the next wave. The second week of February, February 7th through 14th, has storm potential. The pattern supports it. The models are hinting at it. Not ready to make specific forecasts yet, but it is on the radar. Valentine's Day weekend, February 14th and 15th, also showing storm signals. Imagine trying to go out for a romantic dinner and there is a foot of snow outside. The pattern makes it possible. Late February, things get interesting again. That blocking pattern in Canada is forecast to persist. The polar vortex split keeps cold air available, and the storm track remains active along the coast. This is not normal. Most winters, we get one, maybe two, significant storms for the East Coast. This winter is shaping up to deliver 4 or 5 legitimate threats. That is what makes it memorable. I want to address something else I am seeing in the comments. Some of you are asking about climate change and whether this contradicts warming trends. Let me be clear. Climate is the long-term average. Weather is what happens day to day and week to week. Climate change does not mean it never gets cold or snows. It means the overall average temperature is rising. But within that framework, you can still have brutally cold winters in certain years. In fact, some research suggests that Arctic warming can actually make these polar vortex splits more common, which brings more cold air south. It is complicated. It is not as simple as warmer equals less snow. What I can tell you is that the atmosphere does not care about politics or opinions. It follows physics. Right now, the physics are aligned for cold and snow in the eastern United States. That is what the data shows. Let me give you one more set of city forecasts. These are for the weekend after next, February 7th and 8th, because some models are already showing signals. If a storm develops, and that is still a big if, here is what it could look like. Atlanta, possible snow or ice, depending on track. Charlotte, snow likely if it happens. Raleigh, heavy snow potential. Richmond, significant snow possible. DC, major snow threat if track is right. Philly, substantial snow potential. New York, heavy snow possible. Boston, another big one potentially. I am not making a forecast yet. I am showing you what the pattern supports. These are possibilities, not predictions. But they are real possibilities based on real atmospheric signals. Here is what I need you to do. Comment below with your city name. Tell me where you are watching from. I read these comments. I use them to tailor future forecasts. If I see a lot of people from a specific area, I will make sure to include detailed information for that location. Also, tell me what you are seeing right now. Are you dealing with ice? How much snow do you have? Has your power stayed on? This real-time information helps me verify what the models are showing and adjust forecasts accordingly. If there is anything you need prayer for, anything you are dealing with beyond just the weather, leave that in the comments too. This community is about more than just forecasts. We are real people dealing with real challenges. Let me wrap this up with the key points you need to remember. Current storm winds down over the next 24 hours. Dangerous cold tonight with temperatures in the single digits and teens. Ice melts Wednesday and Thursday as temperatures moderate. Friday is quiet. Saturday night into Sunday, storm number 2 arrives with significant snow potential for the East Coast. Exact amounts depend on storm track, but the pattern favors a major event. Next week, we watch for additional storm signals. This pattern is going to persist through February. Cold is locked in. Storm chances remain elevated. This is a winter you will remember. One final thought. Weather brings out the best and worst in people. I have seen neighbors helping neighbors dig out. I have seen communities rally around those who lost power. I have also seen panic buying and selfishness. Be the person who helps. Be the one who checks on the elderly couple down the street. Be the one who shares your generator with someone who needs it more. Weather is temporary. Character is permanent. The best part of this forecast is coming in my next video. I'm going to show you something about the late February pattern that will blow your mind. The models are showing a setup that only happens once every few years. You are not going to want to miss it. Thank you for watching. If you have not already, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications so you do not miss updates. This is the kind of winter where daily updates matter. Things change fast. I will keep you informed every step of the way. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. Take care of each other. And I will see you in the next forecast.